And to begin our chemistry tour, let's talk about Black Friday, shall we? Clean old fashioned hate. Athens, Georgia is where we're going to begin. As the seven ranked Bulldogs are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Yes, I said that. Even though they are in the SEC championship game, and they can win the SEC championship and get in the playoffs that way. But they want to make sure that they are going in there on a good footnote, okay? And they're playing the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. 7:30 p.m. Black Friday on ABC. 19 and a half are the Bulldogs over the Yellow Jackets in over the hedges in Athens, Georgia. I don't know how I feel about that 19 and a half because we is talking about Georgia Tech here. And Georgia Tech it's had a pretty good season. I mean, you're talking that's a 74 team right there. So 19 and a half seems like a little too much. Man, it's a rivalry games. Records don't matter in this. I'm trying to tell you. Records do not matter. Just like when the Bulldogs was heavy favor over Florida, and Georgia fans was about to lose their mind because Florida was owning them until DJ Lightway got hurt. I'm just saying, 19 and a half may be a little too much. But hey, good old fashioned hate. Yellow Jackets, Bulldogs over the hedges in Athens, Georgia. From Athens, Georgia, we head to the Big House. Sorry, the Horseshoe, Columbus, Ohio. The second ranked Buckeyes will be hosting their arch rivals, the Michigan Wolverines. That is Saturday, Fox noon, big noon kickoff on Fox. 21-point favorites are the Buckeyes. And the way that Michigan has been looking 6-5 on city, they'll make a bowl game. But if Michigan can do that to Indiana, and Indiana is a high power scoring offense, I can see Ohio State doing the same thing. But yet again, it's a rivalry game. It's just a different feeling to it. But we shall see. It is at the Horseshoe, and if Ryan Day don't beat Ohio State on this one, he just might as well get fired because there is no national championship implications for Michigan. They are not a dominant team, and there's no Jim Harbaugh there. So Ryan Day has no excuse to not win this game. He needs to win this game for his sake, for his job's sake. Ryan Day win the game. From Columbus, Ohio to Nashville, Tennessee. The eighth ranked Volunteers sitting pretty good in the playoff rankings, being number 8 and not going to the SEC title game. They have to go play their arch rivals up in Nashville, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Tennessee is 10.5 point favorites on the road. Vanderbilt's been up and down, which is not good for Tennessee because there are games that Vanderbilt can play good. They knocked off Alabama. Okay. I just want to look at Vanderbilt's wins. Virginia Tech. They did lose to Georgia State, by the way, which is terrible. They knocked off Alabama when they was ranked number 1. They beat Kentucky. They hung in with Texas. 3-point loss to Texas. They beat Auburn, who just knocked off Texas A&M. They, so, Tennessee. Don't walk in there and think y'all just gonna warn over these boys. This ain't your fathers and grandfathers Commodores here. This is a different group here. So 10.5 might be a little tricky for Tennessee. That's all I'm saying. Might be a little tricky. I don't know. 10.5 might be a little too much for the Volunteers heading to Nashville. From Nashville, Tennessee to Clemson, South Carolina. The battle for South Carolina is up for grabs now. The 15 ranked surprise in South Carolina Gamecocks led by Shane Beamer heading to their valley of the ACC to go against 12th ranked Tigers of Clemson led by Dabo Swinney. 12 p.m. ESPN. 2.5 is the home Tigers. 2.5. This game has playoff implications with it. As you can see, both teams are on the outside looking in right now. As I remember correctly, Clemson and I do believe it's Texas A&M that's on the outside looking in right now. Yep. On the outside looking in right now. And hoo boy. Whoever wins this game set themselves pretty well to have a case to make the playoffs. Because South Carolina is not that far. They're like what 3 spots off of it. 3 spots off. Clemson is literally the first team out. So another ranked victory for either side, and we might be talking playoffs for the Gamecocks and the Tigers. So this is a very important game here. Very important. I want to see if Dabo Swinney gonna take this game very, very seriously. Because Shane Bieber has the Gamecocks in a good spot right now. In a very good spot. And it's at the afternoon slate. The Jewish Lilies up for grabs. Out in Santee, California, Los Angeles at the Coliseum. As the fifth-ranked Fighting Irish wants to keep that Jewish Lily from the Trojans of USC, Southern California. 3:30 on CBS. The Fighting Irish, 7.5 favorites on the road. This is the last opportunity, should I say, for people who don't like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish because of the things like they get special treatment. They're the only team considered to be a Power 4 team, even though they're independent and not in the conference. That's why Notre Dame can't go no higher than a 5th seed because you don't have a conference championship to fight for. So USC is those people's final hope to stab the dagging blow to the Fighting Irish. But ever since the loss to Northern Illinois back in week 2 of the season, Marcus Freeman has his team rolling. They have not come close to losing a game. I only remember the last time they had a close game since the loss to to Northern Illinois. So let me go check something. Let me go look at it real quick. Let me look at Notre Dame's games after this. So after they took that shocking loss to Northern Illinois at home in South Bend, they came back and they went to Purdue and smoked them 66-7. They came home and beat up on Miami of Ohio 28-3. They had a 7-point win over Louisville. That was back in September 28th. They smacked around Stanford 49-7. They beat up on Georgia Tech 31-13. They aforementioned the smashing of Navy 51-14. Jesus Christ. Just embarrassed and bullied the Florida State Seminoles 52-3. 35-14 to Virginia, and what they did last week to Army 49-14. They've been smacking people. USC's been up and down, but they made themselves bowl eligible with the big win over the in-city rival. I ain't gonna say in-state, they in-city rival UCLA. So interesting here. 7.5 is the line for the Fighting Irish. CBS has that for you at 3:30. From sunny California to the Dome in Syracuse, New York. What a game this is going to be. The 6th-ranked Hurricanes trying to make it to Charlotte to face off with the SMU Mustangs for the right to win the ACC. The problem is they have to win at the Dome against an 8-3 Syracuse Orangemen. Don't know a lot about Syracuse. I'm gonna be quite honest with you, but I'm looking at the numbers here. McCoy has thrown for close to 4,000 yards with 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He has thrown more yards than Cameron Ward. He has thrown more interceptions than Caleb Ward, but he has not thrown more touchdowns than Caleb Ward. This is going to be an interesting game. I'm looking at this. Haven't heard a lot about Syracuse, but we've been looking at Syracuse. They got wins over Ohio, Georgia Tech, UNLV, who is in the rankings, by the way, NC State, Virginia Tech, California, UConn. And they have losses. 3 losses have came to Boston College, Pitt, and Pitt blew them out, by the way, 41-13. And to Stanford, 26-24. So this is a very tricky game here. Miami is 11-point favorite, so the Orange Men are getting 11 at home, which is also interesting as well. 3:30 ESPN. The task is simple for Mario Bull, Cristobal, and the Hurricanes. You get a road win, you go to Charlotte last week. Plain and simple. If you don't, Clemson goes to Charlotte regardless if they win or lose to South Carolina. It's that simple. From the Dome up in New York to the Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the Iron Bowl. 3:30 p.m. at ABC. The Auburn Tigers traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on 13th ranked Crimson Tide of Alabama, carrying out that the demoralizing loss. And I do mean demoralized because you were beaten. Oklahoma beat you 24-3. While Auburn messed around and put Texas A&M in a position they didn't want to be in, beating them 43-41 in 4 overtimes. And you're giving the Crimson Tide, and you making the Crimson Tide 11.5-point favorites at home. They must think Alabama is going to come back with a vengeance. And it's happened to be their biggest rivalry would be upon the Avengers supposed to go against when it comes to Auburn. Laking up this game is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so that might be an advantage for the Crimson Tide. But if it was in Jordan Hare, oh boy. If this was in Jordan Hare, I would not know what to say. If I'm being completely, I would not know what to say. But 11.5 in a rivalry game, the Iron Bowl, after what we just saw from what Alabama did at Oklahoma, I don't know. Then it is the Sunshine Showdown in Tallahassee, Florida. Doak Campbell Stadium. The Florida Seminoles coming off their biggest win of the season. And I do mean that literally. I am not trolling whatsoever. The 2-9 Florida State Seminoles had their biggest win of the season when they beat Charleston Southern 41-7. They actually put up points in the game for once. Because if you look at Florida State, I mean, this is the most disappointing team in the freaking college football world. The most disappointing team in college football. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Mike Norrell, I don't know what you did, but you ain't do your damn job this year. Okay, you came in as the favorites in the ACC because what y'all showed last year, even though you got brought up with the college football playoff committee because you lost your quarterback, and those who've been following college football and been paying attention to what the committee says, when they lost Jordan Travis to that season-ending injury, you knew that was the end of Florida State. I don't know how y'all didn't see it because they went undefeated and won the ACC, but hey, they went against Georgia. They didn't want to show up for that game. Georgia blew their ass out. Georgia used them as an example to the college football playoff committee. Nevertheless, you came into the season favorite to win the ACC. I actually picked you to win the ACC, by the way, not being biased and being objective. And then you take your asses over to England, Ireland, should I say? Take your ass over to Dublin, Ireland. You got your ass kicked by the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 24-21. All right. You come home Labor Day night. And Boston College decided to run the ball down your damn throats to a 28-13 win. Then Memphis comes into Doak Campbell Stadium the following week, and they beat you 20-12. Right out the gate, you're 0-3 out the gate. Yeah, you got past Kyle. Everson, you smacked you. Clemson smacked you. Duke beat you. Miami smacked you. North Carolina smacked you. Notre Dame beat the holy hell out of you. And then you beat Charleston Southern 41-7. So you feeling really good. You got the second win of the season. And then here comes Florida Gators coming off the two biggest upset in the SEC right now. That's ending the season of LSU and Ole Miss, both in the swamp, drowning both of their seasons. So 14.5. All the Florida. I don't even remember the last time Florida was double-digit favorites against Florida State. Jeez. We got to go back to what, the Tim Tebow era? The last time Florida was actually this big of a favorite over Florida State? Good gracious. But hey, that's the way they got it. 7 p.m. ESPN 2. Not ESPN 2. And then 7:30 p.m. on Fox. You're gonna go to Ames, Iowa, because it is a matchup that is going to determine how the Big 12 is going to go down. Iowa State 9-2, hosting 8-3 and 24 ranked Wildcats of Kansas State. The home team is 2.5-point favorites. Iowa State wins this game. They're in the Big 12 championship game. They'll be going to Jerry's World in AT&T Stadium. If they can beat Kansas State. It's that simple. But if Kansas State decides to show up like they did against Colorado, like they did against Kansas, like they have done because they won 8 games. If they decide to show up, they can make things very, very interesting in the Big 12 even more. So while I'm here at the Big 12 game right here, those of you who are wondering, what about the other key members of this? Colorado is hosting Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has not won a conference game to save their freaking lives. All three of Oklahoma State's wins has come against non-conference opponents. When they beat South Dakota State, when they survived Arkansas in 2 overtime games, and when they beat Tulsa. Outside of that, Utah beat them, Kansas State beat them, West Virginia beat them, BYU beat them, Baylor beat them, Arizona State beat them, TCU beat them, and Texas Tech beat them. So, Coach Prime, you cannot be the first team to lose to Oklahoma State in the Big 12. That should be a W for Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. Should be. That game between Colorado and Oklahoma State, that is 12 p.m. on ABC, and that is in Boulder, Colorado, by the way. So that's an early game for Colorado. Early game. Now, it's not a 10 o'clock. I think that's a 10 o'clock kickoff for them. Okay, so you got that. Then we have to look at Arizona State. Well, they had their in-state rivalry in Tucson, Arizona, when they go to Tucson to take on the Arizona Wildcats. 3:30, that's on Fox. That's the game to look out for. The Sun Devils are 8.5-point favorites there. We already talked about Kansas, and then the final team is BYU. BYU is hosting Houston as 13-point favorites at home in Provo, Utah. So scheduling-wise, I can see BYU winning. I can see Arizona State winning. And if Arizona State does beat Arizona, they're in the conference championship game. They're in because that'll put Arizona State at 7-2. If Colorado wins, and they should win, they'll put them at 7-2. BYU should win, and that'll put them at 7-2. So right now, I'm giving Colorado, BYU, and Arizona State all W. So they all three at 7-2. Which means with that scenario, and Iowa State possibly loses, which is very possible for Iowa State to lose, it would be Arizona State and BYU in the Big 12 title game. But if BYU does get caught by Houston and Texas Tech beats West Virginia and Baylor beats Kansas and Cincy beats TCU, Colorado's in. It's very interesting in the Big 12 right now. So we shall see. And then the spotlight game of the week. College Station, Texas. Kyle Field, a renewal of an old rivalry. We are talking about Texas and Texas A&M. You have the Longhorns and you have the Aggies. Playoff implications, SEC championship implications, everything, all hands on this one game here. Number 3 versus number 20. 5.5-point favorites are the Longhorns on the road. The winner of this game will be meeting Georgia up in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. The loser of this game will be hoping to still be alive for a playoff spot. This should be an interesting game. 7:30 ABC. Can't wait to hear Chris Fowler and Kurt Hershey call this game. Cause this is the game that has more than anything on the line. This literally has a conference championship spot on the line and a CFP spot on the line as well. So that is your campus tour. But we're not done. We're going straight to it. This is what we're gonna do. Give me Georgia. Georgia would like to go in on a high note through a season that has been up and down for them, but they want to punch somebody in the mouth before they go to Atlanta. And Georgia Tech, when it's a good old fashioned hate, why not punch y'all in the mouth? Give me Georgia. Give me Ohio State. Just Ryan Day, you lose this game, you deserve to be fired. Michigan has done nothing impressive all year. They can't pass. All they do is run. And I know you can stop the run if you're Ohio State. So stop the run, make them pass, get some turnovers, and blow them out the horseshoe, please. I'm gonna roll with the Volunteers here. I think the Volunteers are gonna walk into this game with the seriousness that it needs to be taken with because they lose to Vanderbilt. They don't see the college football players. You can scream about SEC and what they had to go through all that. I don't give a crap. You don't lose to Vanderbilt when the playoff spot is on the line. So do handle your business. Josh Heupel, do your damn job, and make sure you get out of Nashville with a dub so you can make the playoffs. Because if you lose this game, you're not making the playoffs. I'm going with South Carolina. And this is not an SEC thing. This is I don't know what to make of the Clemson Tigers and Davos Swimming. This is not the aforementioned Clemson Tigers or Davos Swimming that we have come to know over the years. And the way that South Carolina has been playing lately, I like their chances to go down to the ACC Death Valley and put up a hell of a fight against Clemson and might actually beat Clemson. So give me South Carolina. And that would actually end the hopes of Clemson making the playoffs. Good win, USC over UCLA. The Jewish Shillelagh is up for grabs, and I'm pretty sure you want it. But the way that Notre Dame has been rolling ever since they took that L to Northern Illinois, nobody outside of Louisville has come close to beating them. And I don't see y'all coming close to beating them either. Man, this might be a double-digit win for the Fighting Irish. Miami, it's been a long time since y'all been in the national picture. It would be a damn shame if y'all go up to the Dome against a nice Syracuse team. I'm gonna say nice, a nice Syracuse team, and you get beat. Syracuse has not seen a team like y'all all season. Show them why they haven't seen a team like you all season, and show them the difference in competition. Kim Ward, this is the game you're gonna need to make sure you win that running for the Heisman because Travis Hunter and Dinty, they're running away from you with the Heisman. As much as I don't like what I'm seeing from Alabama, it's in Tuscaloosa. That's the only reason I'm picking Alabama. Isn't because if it was in Jordan Hare, I will pick Auburn. I promise you, if it was in Jordan Hare, I'll be picking Auburn. But since it's in Tuscaloosa, and them Tide fans are not going to tolerate you losing to Auburn at home, knowing that that's the only game that you need to possibly make the playoffs, they are not going to be thrilled. Florida State, you got a great win. But Billy Napier, finish the job. Plain and simple. Just finish the job. Finish the season 75 and we're good. Yes, I'm looking for chaos in the Big 12. I'm looking for chaos in the Big 12 because Iowa State is not a team of offensively impresses me. Kansas State has an offense that can put up points. Iowa State does not have an offense that can put up points like that. They rely on their defense to keep teams down within the teams to win games. Only thing Kansas State needs to do is not turn the ball over. If Kansas State don't turn the ball over, they will beat Iowa State, and they might actually control Iowa State from start to finish if they don't turn the ball over. That's the only concern I have for Kansas State. If you don't turn the ball over, you will beat Iowa State. So give me the Wildcats. And then the spotlight game of the week, the fans have voted. Fans voted a lot, and I'm very appreciative of the votes that y'all did because this actually tied the most votes we had. I think it was week 8 or week 7. But hey, y'all voted. 65.9%, almost 66% said that Texas Longhorns gets the dub over the Aggies in College Station. Where do I stand? I stand with you. Give me the Longhorns. We're going to get a rematch. Cole Johnson, in my opinion, you're going to get your rematch. Texas, Georgia, SEC, Atlanta, Georgia. That's how I feel. But do not sit here and wear your helmets on that field and think Texas A&M is going to be laying down after they got caught by Auburn last week. This is going to be a very physical game. This is going to be a hard fought, bloody nose type of game here, old fashioned style. But I like the Longhorns, Cole Johnson. Hook 'em horns. And that's the recap. I got the Bulldogs over Georgia Tech. I'm taking, man, Ryan Day, if you don't beat Michigan this year, let's go somewhere else. Tennessee, take Vanderbilt seriously and win the game. I got Clemson. I got Shane Beamer going down and upsetting Dabo Swinney. Yeah, Notre Dame might blow the brakes off USC. Miami will take Syracuse seriously, and that's how they'll get it done. Alabama, if you lose to Auburn, it's going to be hell to play after year 1 for Kellen DeBoer. Billy Napier finished the deal against Florida State. Give me Kansas State to continue the chaos of the Big 12, and Texas handle business against the A&M Aggies. And the fans I voted, 65.9% are going with the Longhorns over the A&M